Good afternoon. From the floor this evening, this is Chris Robinson. Today's Wednesday the 25th. We're heading into the last week of October. It's been a pretty interesting month. I'm going to talk about three things and then I'm going to get on my way. Number one, you got to look at the U.S. dollar. U.S. dollar has an overriding effect on all commodities with these outside markets making new highs, the stock market, and with the idea that we're going to be doing some continued rate hikes. That has been supportive for the U.S. dollar. There's big resistance, however, in the U.S. dollar at this 94 level. Pull up a chart, take a look, you can see what I'm talking about. Back in January, we were around 103. We broke down to 91. We're at 94 right now. If we can get through 94, a lot of people think that the next level will be 97. So what does that mean to the rest of the world? If we have a strengthening dollar, shouldn't that be negative for commodities? Well, you would think so. The interesting thing is, you've also got a second dynamic where the managed money is definitely looking to be long commodities. I'm going to start with a market I don't talk a whole lot about, but it's out there. It's something you should probably take a look at. If you look at cattle, cattle's in a very interesting situation. We're well supplied. The supply and demand is shows that prices should probably be lower than where they are. But you've got a situation where managed money has been long this stuff pretty much all year. They're long about 100,000 contracts of fat cattle, which is live cattle right now. That's the number one thing that's supporting cattle. As I sit in here talk to you today, in the last 2 months, cattle, fat cattle, live cattle, it's rallied $16, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's quite a bit if you take a look at a chart. Feeder cattle, which are the beginning of the supply chain, they've rallied about 22. So you've got a situation where if you think fundamentally, you think rising dollar, lots of supply, we should have lower prices. This is one of those situations where the market is doing something different than what a lot of people think it ought to be doing. The number one thing that's holding it up is the managed money. So as a hedger, producer, speculator, you've got to be aware of that factor out there. All it takes is one change and we could have a pretty good correction lower. We've seen this before where it doesn't take much to turn the market. Sometimes the market doesn't break on really any bad news. Sometimes it's just a lack of new buyers. So that's the number one thing I would watch, that disconnect in fat cattle and supply and demand. Switching over to the grains. Right now, the whole world knows that the managed money is long the soybean complex. They're long soybeans, they're long meal and oil. They've got a big long bet. There's flip side to that spread is they're short corn and they're short wheat. So my experience has been when the whole world knows what your position is, that if you're wrong, it can be a painful adjustment to get out. So if I'm a managed money, if I'm running managed money, I'm concerned about that because with the commitment of traders, every Friday we get into commitment of traders, everybody's well aware of the fact of how this money is bet. So all it takes is one change and that whipsaw could move. So that type of discrepancy, it gives you the possibility for opportunities. How do you do it? Well, what would hurt the most people? If corn was to rally, that would put pressure on those big shorts out there. The money is short about 200,000 contracts of corn. They're short about 80,000 contracts of wheat. If we start rallying, they might have to buy those back. It could bump us higher. So those are the two things I'd be looking at. The overall impact of, first of all, a strong dollar. But in spite of that, you've got some good opportunity, not only in the cattle, but also in the grains. That's about it. Moving forward, if you have any questions, look me up on the web, Chris Robinson. Have a great day.